So what about your own spouse, your own children? Gone are the days, or should I say, we should make the days go, where we are so busy with our phones and our children are so busy on their computers doing all sorts of dirty items, because we haven't even monitored. And when we monitor with a stick. Gone are the days of the stick. It doesn't work anymore. What works is convincing. Speak to them. Engage them in discussion. In order to do that, you will need to apply your mind. In order to apply your mind, you need time and thinking and discussion with your spouse. Look, we have seen, for example, someone came to me and told me, I've seen my son watching pornographic sites on the net. What should I do? I need to tackle him. Should I kick him out of my home? I said, no, that's the biggest mistake you would be making. Your responsibility. Should I block the internet from the home? I said, he'll get it on his phone. So what do? I said, you need to engage him in discussion and show him what the evils of it are. Open up the discussion and explain to him what will happen. How you lose interest in the opposite sex, how you begin to disrespect your own spouse. A male who sits and watches that which is pornographic will automatically look at all women as sex tools and so on. There are so many things that happens. And explain to him that, you know what, you're ruining your future. And engage him in discussion and tell him, inshallah, I will speak to you tomorrow or next week, and let me know if you succumb to this weakness within the week, and we will help you again. So now he'll be honest and he'll come out, and you are helping him. You are assisting him. But if we want to pretend from the outside that this relation is so beautiful, son comes and sits in front of his dad every day, and you know his mind is filthy, completely dirty, but you can't see it. May Allah protect our homes from that. The second stage, say for example you have spoken to your spouse, you haven't solved the problem. Because it's now becoming a major problem. People don't want to admit their guilt, they don't want to change. And people don't want to cater for the other. Tolerance in marriage is very important. When you are a perfectionist, you put pressure on your marriage. Do not be a perfectionist when it comes to the inside of your home. And if you are a perfectionist, outside, you tolerate things inside the home. Because once you have a child, you might have the child, vomiting on the carpet. You cannot get angry. You might have the child urinate on your head. You can't get angry. That's your child. Sometimes it happens for Allah to train you regarding your temper. Because what are you going to do? It's your own child. I have a brother of mine, mashallah, a real brother of mine. He was quite, a temperamental person. He had one son, another son, and by the time he had a third child, all the temper was gone, mashallah. Now he's cool, calm person, mashallah. Once in a while you find him losing his temper. He probably will see this disc a bit later. I'm worried about how to answer him. But the point I'm making is valid, that your children sometimes cool you down, they calm you down. They have to, because they are your own children. And they will do things. Don't get angry. Your spouse is only a human being. She cannot, make sure that everything is 100% perfect. You have sometimes a frame on the wall. You walk into the house and you say, you know what? That frame is not straight. Straighten it. Speak properly. Do me a favor. You get the measure tape. You measure around. You correct it. Show us how it's done. That's our rule. In an Islamic home, we have tolerance. We tolerate one another. We are different people. A man is brought up totally differently from his own wife in a different home. If you are brought up in the same home, you're probably not allowed to get married. Yes. And the woman gives up absolutely everything to come and live with the man, and next thing he wants to perfect everything. Even some women, they have this perfectionist idea. I'm not saying it is wrong to arrive at that level for yourself. That's not wrong. But to want that for everyone in a harsh manner is wrong. You break your marriage. Because nothing is going to be perfect. If the world was perfect today, we wouldn't even be sitting here. We wouldn't need to know why or how to help people whose marriages, who have just been married or whose marriages might be suffering some turbulence in one way or another. Because there wouldn't be that turbulence. So when people become too rigid and so on in their own, and they cannot shift a little bit here and there, you find things breaking up and cracking. That brings me to a point. What about in deen? If a person is not reading their salah at all? My beloved brother and sister, one of two things. Either from the beginning you were reading your salah, both of you. In that case, you remind one another and you will appreciate the reminder of one another. If you suddenly decided, right, from today I'm reading my salah, show your spouse the same light that you saw, and in the same way it took you time to get to that, it might take her a little bit of time to get to that. and you can try and convince her, talk to her. I know it is something that is very important. Salah is a pillar of deen, but we are living in an environment that is not very Islamic sometimes. We are living in the midst of 40% non-Muslim, and we are living in an environment that not everyone reads their salah. So therefore, as much as I know that salah is without an excuse, must be read, but let's face the reality on the ground. There are Muslim homes where salah is not given importance. So in order to start that, you need to try and address the issue properly. You know, when we become holy in a marital home, after we are married, we cannot expect sometimes our spouse to follow suit immediately. They may do in most cases, but in some cases it might take a little bit of time. And if you are going to be agitated and so on, you might lose it altogether. So you have to tell them, look, at least read your Fajr, at least read your Dhuhr. And you started with 1, with 2, after a few months, inshallah, the 5 will have fallen into place. This is my way of looking at things, and it has worked at times. There are 2 ways of solving the problem, either through willpower, you start immediately all your salah, that is ideal and that is the best way. That is the proper way. But sometimes it is better for a person to have read 1 than nothing, and 2 than 1, and 3 than 2, and so on, because we look at it, if there are 5 salah, the minute you have read 4, 80% of your problem is solved. You now have a 20% problem. And this is how we should be learning from one another. But believe me, since I am speaking to both brothers and sisters, whenever there is an issue of religion, give in to it, adopt it, accept it. Understand that let us follow that which is better. Let us follow that which is higher when it comes to religion, and Allah will open your doors, one after the other. That which is higher. So if a person tells you, you know what, you're not dressing appropriately, you don't have to say, look, I was told by that sheikh that I can come slowly. Don't use that. That's not the excuse. That's never the excuse. But say, okay, inshallah, I will do that, and I'm not going to be embarrassed at what people think of me. The world can say what they want, for as long as my maker loves me for that. The hadith says, Man arda Allah bi sakhatin nasi, radiyallahu anhu wa arda anhu nas. Whoever pleases Allah, and in the process receives or achieves the wrath of the people, Allah will love that person, and very soon the people will also love that person. وَمَنْ أَرْضَ النَّاسَ بِسَخَطِ اللَّهِ سَخِطَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ وَأَسْخَطَ عَنْهُ النَّاسِ. Whoever pleases the people and in the process displeases or angers the Almighty will be displeased with that person, and very soon the people will also be displeased with that person. So you have to build your life. Today, if people love you for the wrong things, one thing can happen in your life and they will still hate you. They will abandon you. But if people love you for the right things, you can't go wrong. Allahu Akbar. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us develop. May He help us really within our homes. We have so many difficulties and issues. So when there is a difficulty, we haven't been able to solve it, the Quran speaks about al-Hakamain. The Quran speaks about al-Hakamain. Before the Hakamain, there is one way of resolving matters. A slight separation may help sometimes. You are within the same home, but you might want to think over your relation. And when we say a slight separation, we've got to look at who's wrong here. We've got to look at who's wrong and what the problem is, and try and ponder over solutions. A lot of the times in separation, we mix with friends who tell us, yeah, fix him. Don't worry, just, sort her out. Divorce her, come on, you can get this. No shortage of women. I was told that women here in Malaysia are much more in number than the males. I can hear people saying 5, 6, I don't know what those figures are supposed to be standing for. But to be honest with you, whatever it is very wrong to advise your friend to say, you know what, leave her, you'll get someone else. Someone might do that to you one day, then what will happen? Tell your spouse, leave him, get someone else, and you don't know it was a direct result of the wrong advice, the breaking of the home of someone else. In Islam, we do not break a home unless it's the last resort. We don't break a home. So, in separation, mix with the right people. Your best friends are those who are hard on you. It's a fact. My beloved sisters, my beloved brothers, your best friends are those who can tell you as it is. They tell you what you do not want to hear. Those are your best friends. Listen, you know what? I think you're wrong. Come on. He's such a good man. You know, look at the positives of it. How could you walk out like this? And you're sitting with tears in your eyes saying, no, he's done this. Okay, we know what he's done. We'll talk to him. We'll explain to him. But don't, no, give him another chance. That's your friend. That person is genuine. They are thinking of you, your children. They are mature in their thinking. Not the modern Hollywood thinking where something small happens, one SMS on the phone, divorce him, go home. That's what's happening. If that was the case, it's so easy to break the marriage of a person. All you need to do is just send I really love you more than she does to his phone. And the marriage is over. She just has to see it. And let it beep at 2 in the morning, beep, beep, under the pillow. And whilst he's snoring, she picks it up. That moment she's gone home already. When you get up, she has a note. It's like they say, the two of them who were not talking to one another. The husband had to leave following morning. And they weren't talking. So the husband writes a note for his wife on the dining room table saying, please get me up at 5. I know we're not talking, but get me up at 5 o'clock. Some of you know this already. So the following morning, the man gets up at 10. He looks at his clock and he says, oh no, man. Anyway, after a while, he sees a note by his bedside saying, it's 5 o'clock. Allahu Akbar. Which means they were not talking to each other. She was there. She woke him up also with a note. Allahu Akbar. So sometimes we wake up, we see a note, I'm gone. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. My beloved brothers and sisters, if even a little separation cannot help, we move to the next stage. Bring in someone respectable from your side, whom you trust and whom you will accept their solution. Our problem is we bring in a party from our side, she brings in a party from her side, the two of them get together, they meet us, they discuss the problem, they present the solution, and we say, no, I'm not ready for that. That's wrong. Islam has a different outlook. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِن يُرِيدَا إِصْلَاحًا يُوَفِّقِ اللَّهُ بَيْنَهُمَا. If the intention of both parties is to solve the problem, it will be solved. But if one of the parties is trying to prove that the other one was wrong, and this one is trying to prove that that one was wrong, you won't find a solution. No solution. Because the minute someone says, no, you know, you need to do this, no, he was wrong, or she was wrong. I want her to admit her error and she was wrong. Is this a meeting in order to prove who was right and wrong? If that's the case, we may not move forward. Put it back behind you and promise from today we are not going to do this, and from today we are going to start a new leaf. That is a way. Even with the Maker, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we have engaged in sin, we have to turn a new leaf. Allah does not remind us of the past every time, and Allah does not say, remember that day you did this and that day. It's wiped out, it's gone, it's finished. You started a new leaf and a new life and it's over. Subhanallah, that's the love of Allah. So within our homes we need to know that. If you have had a problem in the past and you've solved it, don't raise it again. Don't raise it. People have the bad habit. Shaitan makes you say, but you know, from the very beginning you've been doing it, but I thought that problem was solved. And then it comes into a new problem. So the two parties that have come together, that you have appointed one, she has appointed one, and they discuss. You need to appoint people you respect, whose solution you will adopt. So when they come and say, look, we'd like you to give it another chance, and we think, you know, you need to improve on X, Y, and Z, and he needs to improve on A, B, and C, and this is what needs to happen, you surrender to what they have decided, because you both want to solve the matter. If after that you still find the problem reappears, comes back, and so on, and you find that now you are unable to resolve that matter, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has permitted divorce as a last resort. As a last resort. And to be honest, some cultures and religions do not allow it, whilst others take it for granted. Islam has a middle path, and Islam teaches you that it is not something you should be playing with, and it is not something that the Almighty loves, but as a solution, as a last resort in order to protect you and your sanity, we have allowed it to happen, and this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has permitted it. So we have ways of resolving the matters and the problems. And these are some of the ways that I have mentioned this evening, how to resolve matters. We appoint parties, and even before that, we talk amongst ourselves. And I'd like to mention a point even before that. Introspection is important. What is the meaning of introspection? Look at your weakness. Ask yourself, what do I do? How can I improve myself? Let me tell you how people go wrong. Number one is time. We spoke about time. T-I-M-E. time.